In the headlines, AGF asks Supreme Court to dismiss state government's suit on Naira swap policy. Petroleum Minister assures current shortages and glitches in fuel distribution and supply will not affect the 2023 elections. Benue records 2 deaths, 17 cases of Lassa fever. And on the foreign scene, rescue efforts continue as death toll from Turkey-Syria earthquake hits over 15,000. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Hello and welcome once again. We begin with the Naira redesign policy, where the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, on Wednesday asked the Supreme Court to dismiss a suit filed by 3 state governments challenging the Naira redesign policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria. In a preliminary objection filed by the AGF through his lawyers, Mahmoud Magaji and Tijani Ghazali, the federal government argued that the Supreme Court lacks jurisdiction to entertain the suit. Citing grounds in support of the objection, they argue that the state government suit challenges the federal government through its agency, the CBN, to withdraw old banknotes from the financial system and introduce new ones. With reference to Section 251 of the Constitution, the defense lawyers argue that the suit falls within the exclusive jurisdiction of the Federal High Court in matters of monetary policy of an agency of the federal government. Meanwhile, Wednesday's Supreme Court order that temporarily stopped the execution of CBN's February 10th deadline to end the validity of old versions of the banknotes based on an ex parte application filed by 3 northern state governments has continued to generate mixed reactions from the residents of Nasarawa State. Abubakar Abdullahi, who spoke with some residents, sent in the report as presented from our studio. The Central Bank of Nigeria had fixed 31st of January this year as the deadline to stop the collection of the old Naira notes, following the redesigning of the 1,000, 500 and 200 Naira notes. The hardship that followed efforts to swap the old notes with new ones attracted criticism from Nigerians who asked for an extension of the deadline. Despite a 10-day extension, the situation seemed to have worsened as Nigerians could not lay hands on any of the new notes. This prompted the governments of Kaduna, Kogi and Zamfara states to seek an injunction restraining the CBN from stopping the collection of the old notes on the 10th of February. The ruling by the Apex Court in favor of the 3 states is getting different reactions from the residents of Nasarawa State.
If they can rule the case to collect the old money, we the rural will be very happy now over it. And saying they should stop it at the day they schedule, which is after the 10 days. They say they will add 7 days. But to us, at least they should rule the case in order to forward collecting the old money.
While some are welcoming a possible extension that is expected to ensure enough cash in circulation, Daniel Abel sees no reason for another extension, as according to him, the benefits of sticking to the deadline are more than what Nigerians may expect from another extension.
For me, anything that has to do with this change of, the old currency and the time limit and whatever, we have seen other countries like, India. They had their change of currency not quite long, and we saw the reactions. But in the end of the day, the Indians are benefiting heavily from that change of currency. I want to believe, no matter what politicians are saying about this change of currency, I strongly believe the purpose, the objective is good, and actually nobody is condemning it.
Whatever decision the authorities are planning to take on the Naira note swap moving forward, all Nigerians are asking is for the cash, be it old or new, to be available to them. And the Minister of Petroleum Resources, Timothy Silva, has guaranteed that the current shortages and glitches in fuel distribution and supply will not affect the 2023 elections. Silva gave the assurances on Wednesday while briefing newsmen at the State House, Abuja, after the weekly meeting of the Federal Executive Council. He, however, expressed regret that the Ministry of Petroleum did not control the factors that were causing fuel disruptions across the country. Kende Amodu reports.
The business of government rolls on as the Federal Executive Council meets on another Wednesday. But this enclosed chamber cannot shut out the failure of governance in the streets across the country. The scourge of inadequate supply of premium motor spirit to petrol stations nationwide does not seem to be going away. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources seeks to clarify that petroleum products are not in short supply. Rather, he insists that the challenge is the distribution of the products, which he says government is working to resolve. And he is allaying fears that the situation will not hamper the smooth conduct of the general elections.
This is quite unfortunate. We are not happy at all what is going on. Every hand is on deck. As I said earlier, the Ministry of Petroleum is not in control of all the factors that lead to scarcity, in the sense that there are forex issues as well and other issues. But at the moment today, there is supply. But unfortunately, the distribution and movement of the product to various destinations is now, we are experiencing some bottlenecks. And to also inform you, today we had a briefing from INEC, and INEC has also engaged NNPC, and NNPC has assured INEC that petroleum product supply to INEC will not be a problem, and so that will not likely affect the election at all.
The minister's reassurance comes on a day the cabinet approved the award of the contract for the construction of the Oloibiri Oil Museum and Research Center at the sum of 117 billion naira. Also on Wednesday, Minister of Aviation Hadi Sirika announced that Nigeria Air, the country's flagship carrier, was just one more step away from commencing operations. The minister disclosed that the airline would commence flights as soon as the National Civil Aviation Authority (NCAA) granted it an air operating license. The aviation minister insisted that the court case instituted by other airlines to stop the new airline would not affect its takeoff, but refrained from commenting further as this would be sub judice. From State House, Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
The Director General of the National Identity Management Commission, Aliyu Abubakar Aziz, has advised Nigerians to regard the National Identification Number, or NIN, as a most crucial feature of their entire life, as it's the unique identity for all citizens in Nigeria. Aziz said the constant debate among Nigerians over the issuance of the national identity cards after successful registration is not necessary, as acquiring the number is more important, calling on Nigerians to view the NIN the same way Social Security number or the National Insurance number is regarded in other countries.
In the US, UK and everywhere else, when you are asked, you give your Social Security number. You don't need to print a special card for it. But we, because we have been a developing world, so we are used to that they print card to give you the card. Well, the importance is, first of all, foundational identity, that for the government to provide any service to you, for you to obtain any of the other functional services, you need to identify who you are, and that is the importance of that. And when the government knows about you, then government will be able to provide services to you, will be able to protect you, and also provide whatever social safety and the rest of it.
The National Human Rights Commission, NHRC, has inaugurated a special investigative panel on alleged human rights violations in counter-insurgency operations in the Northeast. The panel, which was constituted following allegations of gross human rights violations in military operations in the Northeast. The allegations were contained in a three-part report published in December 2022 by the media group Reuters. The international media organization had alleged that the Nigerian military was involved in the massacre of children, as well as other sexual and gender-based violence in the Northeast, allegations which the military refuted. The Executive Secretary of the Commission, Tony Ojukwu, speaking at an event in Abuja, said that the NHRC has invoked its inherent express and incidental powers. Speaking, the chairman of the panel, Justice Abdu Aboki, on behalf of the members, thanked the Commission for finding them worthy of the monumental assignment. Now to matters of security, where the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC Gombe State Command, has arrested a 40-year-old man, Usman Muhammad, over allegedly abusing 12 children sexually. Parading the suspect, the Gombe NSCDC Commandant, Waziri Babagoni, said the suspect has been exploiting the victims and having sexual intercourse with them. Ibrahim Ismail reports.
This is 40-year-old Usman Muhammad, a Gombe-based nail cutter suspected to have sexually abused 12 underage boys in Gombe. One of the 12 children is at large. Parading the suspect, the Commandant, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, Gombe Command, Waziri Babagoni, said investigation revealed that the suspect engages in homosexuality for money-making purposes.
So we are calling on the public, please, so that they have to say, because it's mandatory for them to take care of their children. Not that the security agencies will be every day doing this thing. So they should have to report. Thank God that the other guy was being even apprehended by the public. You see, the guy that has homosexual with 12 youths. You see, 9 years, 10 years, 6 years plus, for several times. And now they have started among themselves doing it. So this, how far he now started spoiling the culture and then the ritual ethics of this place.
The suspected homosexual who confessed the crime claimed to have learned the act from his Islamic scholar in Kano State.
We
used to do the sodomy secretly, but yesterday in the morning I met this boy. I was going to my nail cutting business while he was going to school. We entered into an uncompleted building, but before we started the sodomy, some youth came and disrupted our plans. One of the victims is Abdul Karim Abubakar. He narrates his ordeal. The man has a shop in our neighborhood. He once asked me to join him for a sodomy in his shop. I threatened to tell my mother. He pleaded that we should do it once. I then kept quiet. He then approached me for the second time. Parents and relatives of the abused children are demanding the execution of the suspect. I felt very sad. This is very bad and beyond imagination. We can do nothing but prayers. We want this man to be executed. We don't want to see him alive anymore. He should be killed to avoid more exploitation of children. Beyond arresting the suspect, the NSCDC is counseling the underage victims to discourage them from further engagements in homosexuality, while the suspect will be charged to court. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
And one person has been confirmed killed on Thursday morning in multiple crashes on Kara Bridge outward the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. About 7 vehicles, including a container-laden truck, were involved in the multiple accidents that have paralyzed movement and left motorists and travelers on the ever-busy road stranded in a nerve-wracking gridlock. Already, first respondents, including officers of the Federal Road Safety Corps and the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, LASEMA, have arrived at the scene. The FRC Sector Commander in Ogun State, Ahmed Umar, said a traffic hawker was killed in the unfortunate accident, adding that emergency responders are still rescuing those injured. Umar attributed the cause of the accidents to brake failure by the truck, whose driver rammed into the vehicles in front of him from behind. The situation, coupled with the repair works ongoing at the narrowed road, has caused intense traffic along the axis, with scores of motorists struggling to find their way out of Lagos. Still with us on Trust TV News Update. Still ahead. We'll look at how to address unemployment and insecurity at local government level. Details of this and more after the break. Stay with us.
Nigeria na we country, APC na the party, na one man be our choice.
At last, the elections are here. Let's turn out en masse on election day and vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as President of Nigeria for a renewed hope and a better Nigeria. Vote APC, the party that shows a broom.
Security has to be an area they must work on.
We are going to have our own country called Biafra.
You are afraid to come out and move about, lest one hoodlum or the other will harm you.
If people who have guns and the rest of them could be attacked, how about we, the helpless citizens?
Olo office was attacked. The ISU office was attacked.
I haven't even seen where people are going to collect their PVC for voting.
The IPOB people, they're not criminals, but they're just crying out for justice and help.
We will deploy reasonably and strategically to make sure that we decimate the activities of these bad elements who are causing problems in the land.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Update. Now let's take another look at our top stories. AGF asks Supreme Court to dismiss a state government's suit on Naira swap policy. And Petroleum Minister assures current shortages and glitches in fuel distribution and supply will not affect the 2023 elections. And with barely 3 weeks to the 2023 general elections, there are growing concerns that potential voters may not have a proper grasp of the manifestos of candidates and other electoral processes to enable them make informed decisions on who to vote. In this report, Trust TV speaks to Gombe residents on their knowledge of candidates' manifestos ahead of the elections. The report.
It is less than 3 weeks to the presidential and National Assembly elections across the country, billed to hold on the 25th of February, a day millions of Nigerians will vote to choose leaders that will steer the affairs of the country in the next 4 years. But there are growing concerns about whether or not potential voters have a clear understanding of the manifestos of candidates of political parties to influence their voting decision. We speak to some Nigerians on how they assess candidates whom they may vote for in the upcoming election. Some people are voting blindly without background check of the candidates. Some, because they want to promote their party, they can just go ahead and vote an incompetent leader without considering the consequences. I focus on the one who knows the problem of the people currently and who will be able to deliver his campaign promises.
Kuma zai iya tabbatar mana kuma da alƙawari kuma akan abunda za mu yi zaɓe a kansa.
I am assessing the candidates to see whether they have contributed to the development of the people, even if they have held public office or not. To also confirm if he has done anything to develop Gombe State. If he does, I will like him. In a recent interview with Trust TV, a political scientist from the Federal University of Kashere, Babayo Sule, spoke on what the electorate should consider before voting a candidate.
What else are you looking for? A public representative in an office, if not performance. You want him to improve your life. What if it is an incumbent? What has he made on ground? What is he able to achieve? What is the gap he is able to close? Analyze that. If he's a contender that has not been able to win or secure any public office, go through his record. Which office has he held? Is it private? Is it business? What has he done with that? How many people is he able to support, sponsor? How many projects is he able to drag or do? within his constituent. Look at that. So this is one. Number two, credibility and integrity. Credibility and integrity speaks volume of a candidate. What is his potential of fulfilling promise, of being sympathetic with the public? So people need to look into all this.
As it stands, the hope of all Nigerians is to have credible leaders that will resolve the multiple challenges bedeviling the country. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
And moving on to health matters now, the Benue State government said it has so far recorded 17 confirmed cases of Lassa fever and 2 deaths this year. The State's Commissioner for Health, Dr. Joseph Gbea, disclosed this on Wednesday at a press briefing on Lassa Fever Awareness Week in Makurdi, the state capital. He urged residents in the state to implement vector control measures that will eliminate rats completely in their environment. The Commissioner also advised health workers to always observe infection, prevention and control measures which are essential in preventing the spread of Lassa fever virus and other infectious diseases among health workers. He said the only way to curb the spread of the disease is to maintain hygiene and a clean environment. The Health Commissioner said necessary medications have been procured by the state government to treat patients. He appealed to those with strange symptoms to visit the hospital immediately. And the need to revive the local government administration to address issues of unemployment at the local level has been stressed. Speaking with our reporter in Makurdi, residents said the effective administration of the third tier of government will help reduce insecurity, which is worsened by unemployment. The report.
A university lecturer and current affairs analyst said the local government administration was viable in the early 90s and was known to have solved several problems, including insecurity. He said for Nigeria to get it right, the state governors must grant full autonomy to the third tier of government.
Back to the 1990s, when here in Benue, Father Daso, the governor of the state, and local government then had autonomy. We saw what, particularly in my own local, I saw what happened. Because the local government is the nearest government to the rural area. Because hunger is a security problem. Unemployment is a security problem. But when the local government was autonomous, they could employ, take off the youth, 3/4 of our youth that today constitute security challenges to our country, take them off the street. So they were gainfully employed and will hold on to their job and they were doing better. So as a person and as a Democrat, I totally and wholly subscribe to local government autonomy. Let the third tier of government be given its own face so that the people will benefit directly from their resources.
To others, however, the home front must be empowered with requisite knowledge and wherewithal to enable it to instill the right ethical values in children.
What was meant to be a redemption to the local people within the state and also within their locals, has turned out to be not just only a huge disappointment, but also a dangerous menace to the already disease they had before the establishment of the system. So to my mind, it's not working.
Today in Nigeria, we don't even know what is coming again. After COVID now, we are not through with COVID. Look at where we find ourselves today. In Nigeria today, with the resources we are having, with your money, you can't get money from the banks. These are issues. Money, you can't get money. Your little money to feed your family, you can't get. You go about begging, everything is there. Who will you beg for? The richer ones are there getting. We don't even know what we are going to do.
2023 is an election year, and citizens are hopeful that the next crop of leaders will listen and act in line with the expectations of Nigerians for a better country.
Now for a quick look at the foreign scene, where the death toll from a magnitude 7.8 earthquake and its aftershocks, which struck the southeastern region of Turkey along the border with Syria, has continued to rise. Authorities say over 15,000 deaths have been reported in Turkey and Syria. More than 100 aftershocks were recorded following the quakes, with officials urging people not to enter damaged buildings due to the risks. More than 8,000 people have been pulled from the debris in Turkey, while some 380,000 have taken refuge in government shelters or hotels. The areas affected by the earthquakes on the Syrian side are divided between government-controlled territory and the countries held by the opposition pocket of land, encircled by Russian-backed government forces. And we spoke to Usman Aliu Uba, a TRT World journalist, and he gives us an update on the situation.
This is day 4 of the search and rescue operation. The double quakes which happened the early hours of Monday has shocked this country and the world at large because it's one of the deadliest disaster in the last century, given the deaths, the casualties on ground, and even the quake itself, because it's a double quake. So the first quake, which was 7.7, struck the province of Kahramanmaraş, which is in southeastern Turkey, and the epicenter was Pazarcık in the city. It affected other cities, provinces around the region, and it spread all the way to northern Syria. So after the 7.7 quake, subsequently another 7.6 quake, magnitude quake struck the region. So far as I'm speaking to you, this is an official data from the Turkey's disaster management agency, AFAD. Over 12,870 people were killed, at least, and over 62,000 people were injured, and more than 9,000 people have been rescued from the disaster-hit area. Like I said, search and rescue teams, both local and international, are working endlessly and tirelessly on the ground to save as many people as possible, despite the enormity of the disaster and harsh weather conditions in the region.
And that wraps up Trans TV News Update for this hour. Don't forget, you can subscribe and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for watching.